Good morning and welcome to the fourth session of Behind the Curtain, where we have been exploring what happens in the months before theater productions. Our program today features Kevin Marshall, representing the Constans Theater at the University of Florida. Kevin is presently an adjunct professor in the School of Theater and Dance at UF. He was director of theater and dance there for 12 years, from 1998 to 2010. He helped build the Nadine McGuire Theater and Dance Pavilion during his tenure as director. He has directed plays professionally as well as for academic and community theaters. Professor Marshall is also the director of UF's Center for the Arts and Public Policy, and he produced Florida's first Coast Arts Festival in St. Augustine. We are honored to have him here today with us to speak about the efforts behind the curtain at the University of Florida's Constans Theater. Kevin, curtain up.
Thank you, John. And it has been a pleasure being asked to present today. And I am certainly looking forward to it. And I hope you will enjoy the presentation. And any questions you have, please feel free at the end of the presentation to ask them. I'll be happy to do my best to answer anything that you have. The way we're going to start today, I want to show you a short video. It's less than 2 minutes long. It features two students, one a dance major and one a musical theater major. And it will give you a little behind the scenes look at what happens in the School of Theater and Dance on a daily basis as we train our students there. So I'm going to show this quickly and then we'll start for the regular presentation. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to share the screen. Pause for that. I want to get this up in full view.
In School of Theater and Dance,
Okay.
I felt like I've been part of the community.
Stop. There we go. Sorry for the technical difficulty. We'll start from the beginning. As I said, it's very short.
In School of Theater and Dance, I've always felt like I've been part of the community. I have.
We're very big on accepting, and it helps you develop your voice and really hone in on your uniqueness and what you have to bring to the table.
The audition process here felt very supportive. It felt kind, and I felt like I would be given the attention that I needed to develop my craft.
When I got here, I just felt like this is the place that I needed to be, especially, and I got to see all the other dance majors and how they move. I felt very welcome. Because the program promotes this sense of uniqueness, we attract a lot of different people and you start to become one with them. They start to become family.
Here they teach you all walks of life around the theater, not just one thing.
The professors are here for you, and they're very generous when it comes to connecting us with their connections outside of UF. UF is great because there are a lot of things for you to get involved in. There's so many majors, so many minors, dual degrees, and I've been very fortunate enough to not just pursue my first love, dance, but also go pursue my other interests.
For me personally, it's about collaborating with all these other talented people. And I always catch myself turning around looking, wow, these people want to work with me. It's incredible to be able to do what I love in such a great setting.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Great. Well, that was just a little intro to things that happen behind the curtain every day in the School of Theater and Dance. What I've got here is I've got a slideshow that we're going to look at also as we move through this presentation here. The theater is located in the Nadine McGuire Theater and Dance Pavilion. I don't know if Don McLaughlin is in the audience today, but he hired me from the University of Alabama, and I came to UF in 1998 to help build this building. It's a 46,000 square foot addition to the Constans Theater. Those of you that are unfamiliar with the Constans Theater was built in the 60s, and it was attached by a colonnade to the Wrights Union, which is the student union at the University of Florida. Recently, several years ago, they enclosed the colonnade and built an addition onto the Wrights Union. And so now we are physically actually connected wall to wall with the Wrights Union there with that. You've been looking at several other theaters, and our mission is quite different from some of the other theaters because we are an educational institution. We are tasked with training and educating future theater artists. And we offer a number of degrees, both at the undergraduate and graduate levels. And so we go out, we bring these students into the theater program, and we train them as best we can with that. This is a picture of the Constans Theater. It seats 415 people max in various configurations. If you look and see these folding chairs in the forefront, they are located on a hydraulic orchestra pit. And so sometimes an orchestra will be in there for a musical, or we will build the stage out. You see this gray area on the right side, that shows you the height of the stage, that it can be lifted on hydraulics up to that level. If you can imagine all of those red folding chairs being removed from that. That's how that can be set up there with that. This theater underwent a substantial renovation in 2004. That's when the building, the Nadine McGuire Theater and Dance building, was built. If you remember, any of you that lived in Gainesville in 2004, that's when we had two major hurricanes cross Gainesville. Hurricane Fran and Hurricane Jean. And that month, the month of those hurricanes, we received something like 31 inches of water, of rain. It was quite interesting, but it was good for us because we knew every possible leak in the building when we opened that building because of all the rain that happened there with that. This is an example of our Agbadidi Africa performances that we do every year on Western African dance, and that's on the stage of the Constans Theater right there. As all theaters, you have play selection, and the play selection is a little different for educational institutions and college productions in particular. We have a play selection committee made up of faculty and students, and they are always charged to find a well-balanced season of plays. And that's very important because we want to be able to offer our students a wide range of roles and experiences at production, designing, sets, lights, costumes, sound, digital, all of those things that happen on there, as well as to play various roles in different periods and what have you. One of the things that we always need to consider is what we call point of entry plays. And that, point of entry events. Point of entry events are events that appeal to the widest possible audience as possible. Usually they start off with things like musicals. Musicals have the tendency to be very popular. And so we sit down and we decide which musicals we'll do on a year-to-year basis. On colleges and universities, Shakespeare happens to be another point of entry event. If I was to ask you in the audience, what would you think is the most produced play in America every year? And I would wonder what kind of responses I would get. Does anybody there think they know what the most produced play in America is every year? Okay, I see some people are, shaking their head. They think that yes on that. Okay, I'll give you a quick answer to that. Every year, it's A Christmas Carol. And I don't know if any of you actually thought it would be something like A Christmas Carol. Now I have another question to ask you. And this is rhetorical because most of you will just jump at it. What's the most produced ballet in America every year? And that would be The Nutcracker. Okay, those two plays and ballets are what we call point of entry events. They are the type of events that people easily come to and feel very comfortable coming into the theater and watching that. Sometimes on colleges and university campuses, you will produce some very esoteric type plays, dramas in particular, that sometimes the audience might even feel confused and say, what is that all about? I have no idea what that is. One of the things that we're concerned about is we have students that select our classes and they attend plays when they're enrolled in those courses. And so we want to make sure they will see 3 productions each semester, because the university, we present a season of 6 plays every academic year from August to April. So we want to try to make it a variety of plays there for students to see. We also have some curricular concerns. We want to make sure that there is a 4-year rotation of styles of plays, comedies, dramas, classics, musicals, all of those to fit the curricular needs of our students so that they graduate having seen or been in or designed a work of Shakespeare and other classics. And that's part of the training needs that we have of our students, because we need to have plays, not only contemporary plays, where when we go to the theater that we see a lot of contemporary plays, but we want to also see plays with what we call heightened language. And so we try to find a number of those during any curricular 4-year term there. And at UF, the director of the school makes the final decision on what the season will be. Right now, this faculty has just voted on a 2-year season. So the season selection committee knows what you can expect at the university now for the next 2 years with that. That's something new that they've done. They're trying to get out ahead of things with that. Okay. This is a picture of one of our productions. And this is Sally Bowles in the foreground of Cabaret that we did several years ago. The young lady pointing her toes and her fingers out was recently seen on Broadway in Mary Poppins with that. So once we have the shows are selected, then we do casting. And I want to point out that casting for us is interesting in that it begins with recruiting, because we go out at both the high school level for our undergraduate programs, and we go out for our graduate programs through URTA, which is the University Resident Theater Association programs. We kid and often joke that at UF we recruit athletes and artists, and it's very similar to what goes on with sports teams, where people go out and they try to recruit the best talent that they can and people that we feel would be best in our program and that would suit our program well, and also for the students. We go to the Florida Theater Conference and we will see anywhere around 300 young actors and about 50 designers every year. And then invite the top people to come to the university on campus and to meet our faculty en masse with that. In terms of URTA, for the recruiting of our graduate students, that varies year to year based on availability of how many graduate assistantships we have for them. But we do go to New York, Chicago, and a West Coast city, either the LA area or San Francisco area. And we will see over 900 graduate students, but we join with about 35 other universities that are graduate programs, and we compete and recruit just like athletes to see who would be the best fit for the University of Florida School of Theater and Dance, and we move from that point on with that. As part of our casting procedures go, we ensure that every graduating MFA, that's a Master of Fine Arts student in acting, has what we call a thesis role. So once the season is selected and the directors have been selected for the shows, and we have a rotating group of faculty directors, then we decide which students in the graduate programs, the ones graduating, will be cast in which roles for them. So that when we get to our general open auditions every semester, the first day of the classes, several of the roles may have already been cast with that. So then they step into those roles and then we cast around them. One thing that I want to point out is directors always want to cast the best possible people for each role. And the reason for that is 90% of the success or failure of a production rests with the casting of the play. It's very important to have the right people in the right role. If you don't, you can have a mediocre production, something that is not as strong as it could have been with the right person. Students often feel that there are, favorites, and, people are playing favorites, and that they're not given an opportunity or what have you. But the director really wants to create the best possible production. So they usually go out and cast the best person that is available for that role. Oops. Okay, here is a picture of part of the costume shop. And that's the fabric wall that we have. It's an entire wall filled with fabric that the costumers use to decide, what they're going to use to create the costumes for each production. And this is a picture backstage. This is an actual backstage area. If you see the ropes here, those are part of the pin rail system and the fly system that flies scenery in and out with that. In the costume shop area, we have costume designers, and we have a shop, a studio 4-person who runs the manager of that. We have in the scenic area, we have our scene designers, our technical director, our carpenter, head carpenter, and our props person who makes up the all the props that you see on stage, the hand props and the stage props with that. There's a production coming up very shortly, this weekend, in fact, and I want to invite everyone to it. It's called The Three Sisters. And it's going to be done virtually. It's free, so it's open to everyone. Anybody who wants to attend it can go on to the School of Theater and Dance website and find that picture that you just saw there. And it will be streaming from April 9th, 10th, and 11th. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of this week. It's being directed by Monica Grossman. Monica's a new faculty member. She joined us 2 years ago. Monica can be seen in the Academy Award nominated film Mank. If any of you have seen Mank or plan on seeing it, she plays Mankiewicz's nurse during the film. He needs a private nurse, and she's the private nurse there. We're fortunate in the School of Theater and Dance to have several faculty members that are very much actively involved in the profession. Monica is doing, Mank. She's in that film. We have Gainesville native Malcolm Getz, who has been a regular here. He's a graduate of the University of Florida. He went on to Yale for his MFA. He was Richard in Caroline in the City for many years on television. He's been nominated for a Tony Award for the musical Amour. And he's done a number of things and is constantly involved with that, with the profession. Also, Tim Altmeyer has performed with several leading performers on Broadway and also on tour. Kathleen Turner is one of them, and brings back, what's good about this, they bring back to the classroom what's going on in the profession. So the students really respond very well to that. This is the times that you can see the Three Sisters. You can get on the website and sign up for one of these dates, and you can watch the show anytime between 6 p.m. and 12 a.m. on Friday, the same on Saturday, and noon to 6 p.m. on Sunday. I know it's my pleasure this week, and I'm going to pop a bowl of popcorn, and I'm going to sit and watch the performance, probably opening night, Friday night. It's been filmed, and it should be very good, nice, classic production of that. The Three Sisters. Here's our dance studio. This is one of our largest spaces in the new pavilion that we've had since 2004. And this is a dance class that's taking place there. We have a number of things in that space. This is a picture from West Side Story, which was a marvelous production done several years ago. And this is one of the fight scenes there during that production. This is a shot from Hello, Dolly. And you can see that the costumes are quite elaborate for this. Dolly's costumes in particular. And these costumes are built primarily by students. Students take some courses in costume design and construction, and then students take this course called P&P, and it's 100 hours of lab work that they get credit for every semester that they're enrolled in the programs. They can get 50 hours of that requirement by being in a production, in a role, or they have to serve on different crews backstage, in the shops, in the construction shop, the lighting shop, the costume shop. And they work there to get the 100 hours total with that. And each degree program has different requirements that are needed for how many sections of P&P they sign up for. But it's our way to get things done very nicely for the campus productions there. This is a picture from a production of Waiting for Godot. And what's interesting about this production is this scene design, which is in our black box theater. Our black box theater is a 60 by 60 square theater that goes up 3 stories high. And this design won the National Award for the Best Student Created Design from the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival. And the gentleman facing us, looking at us, his name is Usman Ali, and he's received an outstanding young alumnus award. And Usman is currently in Australia right now for 6 months with his 2-year-old son in Australia working on a new movie. And so he's doing that. Usman's major credits include a series of unfortunate events on TV. He is an Obie Award winner. That's for Off-Broadway. He was Best Actor in 1 year. And he's been featured on several episodes of Madam Secretary. He was the ambassador from Qatar to the US and ended up getting assassinated in one of the episodes. And he's also been a frequent visitor to Veep as well on television. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about some of these productions. This was Anything Goes, and you can see it's a 3-tiered set here where we have the band playing on top, and then the actors all through the ship's setting as well with that. This is an example of some of the renderings, the costume renderings that we have that are made for each production. Once the play is cast, the costume designers work and they create the costumes specifically for each of the characters that you see later on stage there. We've got one of the nicest costume shops, quite frankly, in the country. For some reason, costume shops are often placed in the basement of theaters, and there's rarely any natural light. Well, when we built this building, we insisted that there be a whole bank of windows to bring natural light into the facility. And it's really been a godsend because those poor costumers are sitting there hand stitching, working with sewing machines for hours and hours on end. And it's wonderful having natural light into their spaces. One of the things that we also do once we produce a play on campus is sometimes we take it on the road. And this is an example. This is a production of a play called Gator Tales. And I wrote it based on oral histories from the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program here at the university. And it celebrates 50 years of integration at the University of Florida. We performed it in spring semester and then summer A and summer B during the summer. And then we took it to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in Scotland. And it was just an absolutely wonderful experience for all of us involved with the production there. We were also nominated by the UK Amnesty International for a Freedom of Expression Award due to its dealing with racial sensitivity and the integration of the university. So we were very pleased and proud of this production. And it also was performed later, after we went to Edinburgh for the National Oral History Convention that was held in Tampa. And so the cast went down there where we presented it there for that national audience. So it was quite nice as well. This is a picture on the streets of Edinburgh. Mikkel Pinckney is on the left, and he's a faculty member who was in Gator Tales and also one of our faculty members here at the university. And on the right is someone that would be familiar to many of you. You're probably looking and saying, who is this guy? He looks sort of familiar. And his name is Ted Lang. And he wrote a play for us called George Washington's Boy. And next week, when you have Russell Schultz giving you a presentation, Russell played George Washington in George Washington's Boy. But what Ted Lang is really famous for, he played Isaac, the bartender on the Love Boat. So if any of you remember Love Boat, that's where you would have seen him for many years as that very nice, happy-go-lucky bartender for that. And we just happened to meet on the streets of Edinburgh. We were just walking by and we saw him, and then we just grabbed to have this picture. That's what's so wonderful about Edinburgh. There are hundreds and hundreds of performances with thousands and thousands of performers. The entire city in the month of August turns out to see production after production after production. It's a marvelous place to go. It's just terrific. This is another production that we took previous to that, and it's called Baby, and it's a musical. And we presented this in Summer B at the university, and then we took it to Edinburgh. The gentleman in the middle here is Anthony Rapp. And Anthony Rapp was one of the original leads in Rent on Broadway, and he's also in the film version of that. He was starring in a production of Hamlet. He was playing Hamlet. This, I think, is like on a Monday. On Friday night, the majority of the cast went and saw him in that production of Hamlet. And you have to realize there were only like 20 people in the audience, and we provided half of the audience there. We met him after the production. We invited him to our performance, and he came and saw it and was gracious enough to sit here and have a photo with the cast. So it was just a wonderful situation there with that. This is a picture of George Salazar. This is one of our outstanding young alums. He's been on Broadway in 2 shows and an off-Broadway in another. It was most recently seen on Broadway in Be More Chill, the musical there, and he was in a revival of Godspell. We're going to just show just some of the people that are, out there now. This is Usman Ali that I spoke about previously. This is him winning that outstanding young alumni award. And there's Dean Lavelli, who presented it to him. These are 2 actors, and Ralph Remshart is a former director of the School of Theater. On the left is DeJuan Johnson, who is a regular on Bosch, if you ever watched Bosch, that television program. And the woman sitting next to him is Beth Dover, and she was a regular for about 5 years as the prison administrator in Orange is the New Black. So she, you might recognize her from that production as well there with that. Here is Stephen Root. Stephen Root is one of the most sought after character actors in Hollywood. He went to the University of Florida and has been earning a living, doing exceptionally well. The Stephen Root Room is named after him. It's one of our acting studios in the School of Theater and Dance. He contributed money for that privilege there. He was first known as Jimmy James on news radio, if you watch that on television. He was also in the cult film Office Space. He was Milton, the one with the spring-lined red stapler. Those of you that have seen that would know what that is. Those that haven't, check it out sometime. He's also played the voices of Bill and Buck in King of the Hill. He was recently nominated for a Golden Globe Award for his supporting role in Barry, that TV series. If you ever watch Amazon Prime and you watched the Man in the High Castle, he was the man in the High Castle. He's also been a regular on all of the Coen Brothers films. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? No Country for Old Men. He's just a regular on that. So he's just on, in talking with him, he says there are really about 4 guys that play his type of role, his character. And that if he doesn't get the role, it's fine, because he knows that one of the other 3 guys will get it. And he knows that the more he auditions, the more roles he'll get, just because he is that type and does really well. During this time of streaming and everything, my son and I, we watched Boardwalk Empire, and he was another character in that for many years. One of the things that we do because we are a training program, we bring people in from the outside, and Stephen has spoken to our students on several occasions. We've brought him in to talk and do master classes so that people know about the industry, what they have to do to break into the industry. This is both Broadway and film and television with that. So he's been one of the regulars that comes with us, to us. We also present every several years the Linda Wilson Lifetime Achievement in Theater Award. And we have presented that award to people like Zoe Caldwell, Chita Rivera, Tommy Toon, and most recently, we presented it to Joel Grey. Joel Grey has been an outstanding theater actor and director. He was the original MC on Broadway in Cabaret and also in the film version with that. He was George M. on Broadway there, and has done, a lot of things. These master classes are very popular. We're very happy that we're able to present them to our students and, give them the opportunity to meet people in the profession. One other thing that we do for our outstanding students, for our MFA graduate actors, and for our undergraduate actors to get them a jump start in their profession is we have an annual showcase that takes place in New York every year. And students go up there, they have to audition, the undergraduates have to audition for it. And we take our top students and they are then presenting some scenes and monologues and songs for dozens of agents, managers, and casting people that we bring in to see them. Every year, several of our students get contracts right off the bat from that New York City showcase, and it really helps to jumpstart their careers. So, it's a great opportunity. We started that over 20 years ago, and it's been terrific to do. Okay, I am happy now to answer any questions that any of you might have about our program. And we'll be happy to answer any of those. Lance, you want to take it from here and introduce people who have a question? I'll be happy to answer.
Yes, so again, feel free to raise your hand function or raise it physically. I will try to see that. I see John Spindler already has one. So please, John Spindler, take it away. You're muted right now, John.
That's right. God, I was muted. Kevin, when you're out recruiting, and I'm thinking of athletics now, I know certain athletes get full scholarships or partial scholarships. The football guys get, so many a year. How do they allocate scholarships when you're out recruiting for the undergraduates and the graduates?
We have very little funds available for undergraduate scholarships. Most of our students come from the state of Florida. So most of them are on Bright Futures to begin with. But we do have some scholarships that we, for usually what we do, we have a convocation in the spring semester and we give those scholarships to students that have proved their worth on campus for that. But we do have, I would say, 2 or 3 undergraduate scholarships. On the graduate level, we have graduate assistantships where we pay their tuition and they get a stipend because they usually teach if they're an actor, and if they're a designer, they work in the shops for that. And those we have up to about 20 a year for that. Some years when we've been very healthy, one time we had the Baker's Dozen, there were 13 actors. We've never gotten back to that. We lost a number of assistantships in 2008 during that first recession there. And we quite frankly haven't recovered yet for that number there. One of the things when we say we recruit athletes and artists, it's very difficult for undergraduates to get into the University of Florida. Students have sometimes had, 4.0 averages, and yet they still can't get in. But we are able, if we find someone who is terrific, but for some reason is unable to get into the university, but we feel that they can succeed here, that we can go to the admissions office and make a pitch for them, so that we have been able every year to bring in a certain number of students. Those students usually have to be given some kind of financial scholarship so that the admissions office knows we're serious about these people. So we save those funds for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Again, if you don't feel comfortable talking and saying your question, feel free to send it in the chat. I see we have one right here, actually. This one is from Elliot Simon, and they say, is there one website that highlights all of the current and future theater activities?
Yes, if you go to the College of the Arts website, all you have to do is Google UF College of the Arts. That will bring you to the website. There are several places on the website that will have events, future events coming up. This is a little different from the UF Performing Arts. So if you're interested in the things that are at the Phillips Center, particularly, you need to go to the Phillips Center for that as well. Oh, I see Don is here in the Acorn Room. How are you doing, Don? When Don McLaughlin was the dean of the College of Fine Arts, he brought me in from the University of Alabama, where I was the business manager of the School of Theater there. And
right, Kevin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you doing?
People usually.
Hello?
To everyone who's tuned in, it was our great good fortune to be able to recruit Kevin to Florida. His arrival here represented a real turning point in terms of the growth and quality of our theater. Kevin, I do have one question.
Sure.
I think of our program as being a real leader in the development of diversity in theater, specifically African-American theater, plays and production. Could you speak a little bit about that, please?
Yes. We have gone out of our way to recruit Black, African-American, Hispanic minorities to our graduate programs in particular, because we do have the funds to bring people in and we can compete for that. We were one of the first schools that went ahead with that, and we were able, actually Mikkel Pinckney and I would go out and we would recruit students from all over the country. And for many years, we were the program of choice for graduate African-American students who wanted to major in theater at the graduate level. When we did lose our graduate assistantships, that sort of fell by the wayside. Right now, in the university, there is another concerted effort to really recruit and work with students BIPOC students, that's Black, Indigenous, people of color students. So there's been a huge aggressive push to remedy some of the obstacles that have been in the past placed for BIPOC people, students of all ages with that. So that's something that you're going to see more and more of. It's the same, there has been BIPOC demands on the white professional theater across the country as well. So you're going to see shifts in that. Participation of people and people being given opportunities that in the past they have been denied just through racial insensitivity, racism, and a lack of openness to diversity.
Thank you. I see that June Gerard has their hand raised.
Yes, I wanted to know if you tracked your set designers like you have your actors.
We have, to a certain extent, all of our graduates, I would say 90% of our designers are working in the field of design. Several have designed on Broadway. Somebody who comes to mind is Jake Penholster, who does digital design and is designed for Jersey Boys on Broadway and any number of productions. Many of our designers also go on to academia, and they run production programs and design productions across the country as well as our actors. If you're not seeing them on Broadway, cruise ships, film, television, they're working, quite frankly, in academic theaters as well as some of our best undergraduate actors are now attorneys. They often go into the law. And that has been at every theater school I've been. Some of the best students become great litigators in particular.
How about from their training at UF, do they build a prototype beforehand, a small one that everyone can see?
Oh yes, they build. Okay. They build the excuse me, the you've got the prototypes that are there. We also were one of the first. We were the first school in the country, and Stan Kay, our lighting professor, designed this miniature lighting system that lights up those prototypes. And so a director can ask the designer, what's the show going to look like at the end of Act One? What's that lighting cue going to be? And they can do that right there with that.
Thank you.
So those set models are lit, beautiful work. I have to also say that when you go to Disney and you go to Universal, many of our graduates are in those programs working in design and backstage, stage managers. All of those people are in the theme park industry as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, feel free to send questions in the chat or raise the hand function. I don't know if there are any in the actual Oak Room.
No, we had Don speak, but that's all we have here. Thank you.
All right. I think that is all the questions we have. I'll give it a few more seconds if anyone is out there. This is your last chance. And I don't know if you have any last comments to say. Oh, John Spindler has something. Great.
Well, before I close here, Kevin, if I remember correctly, the Constans Theater not only has the orchestra pit that can come out of the ground and go back down. Don't you have a trap door on stage too, which is sort of unusual?
Well, we do. The entire stage, there are, I'd say about 50% of the stage can be trapped. And so we utilize that whenever we want to bring an actor from the basement, okay, which is actually the prop storage is located right under the main stage. And we can bring them up from below the stage, above the stage. One of the other things is too that hydraulic orchestra pit can come up about 3.5 feet above the stage as well. Wow. So we can use that for some very dramatic effects. Whenever we want to, we can just actually bring the entire stage up there. So it's a really wonderful, flexible space. And because we're not paying our actors, we have the ability to use large scale productions. I know I was in a production years ago with Grapes of Wrath, and we had, about 35 people in that show. It would be very difficult for, many, the Hippodrome in particular, to put 35 people on that stage there. So we're able to do that. We have to, when we do select and design and everything else, with costume designers, they have to cover everybody's butt. And it doesn't matter, sometimes if there's a 3-character play, that's one thing. But if there's a 35-character play, and if they change clothes for any reason, then there's an enormous amount of work that needs to be done. So you need to select a schedule that gives them a break every once in a while, so that you're not doing 2 plays back to back. One reason we've never presented Cyrano de Bergerac is because it has a cast of around 75 people, and it's period pieces. So it would take an Herculean effort to produce that play, just in the costumes alone. And every time we have discussions on any of those things, it often goes down to, can we costume it? Because again, 35 people, 35 costumes minimum. If you're doing this play, the set, it might just be one set.
Thank you very much, Kevin. And for the audience, be sure to join us.
Well, we actually have one last question.
Oh,
I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
But Dawn has one last question in the Oak Room. Can you unmute, Julianne? We can't hear him.
Such a group, and secondly, tell us just a little bit about the American College Theater Festival and David Young.
Okay, yes. The American College Theater Festival is a competition that's run through the Kennedy Center. And about 350 colleges and universities participated annually, and they give rewards for acting and all of the design areas. As we pointed out, the set for Waiting for Godot was the top set design. In the past, we have had winners in various design areas there. And one of our faculty members, David Young, was the executive director of the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival for over 25 years. When he retired there, he came to the University of Florida and taught till he was about 90 years of age. And we just lost him recently. He passed away. And David was an inspirational teacher. I know my own son had him for 2 acting classes and just loved David Young. He was a favorite of our students, and we certainly miss him. His wife, Elizabeth Adams, is still in the Gainesville area, and he did just a wonderful job and toured professionally throughout the world and was an inspiration for all of his students. And his health in the last year was deteriorating, and he's in a better place right now.
Thank you, Kevin, very much. Be sure to our audience members, join us next week for the final class of the Behind the Curtain series. It features Russell Schultz, representing Santa Fe College Theater Department. And we hope that you have a real nice day. Thank you again, Kevin.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.